following week we came here and there was work party outside. And somebody said, would you like a donut? Don't know who it was talking. Didn't see their face. We were in here meditating. They were outside working. And every one of us meditators, you could see our stomach, or you could hear our stomachs growl right straight down the line. It was like somebody flipped a switch. And that's really what all of this was. I mean, we had the perception of a donut. We heard somebody say the word. We had the mental formation of every donut that we'd ever eat, and we decided that we liked donuts. That was how we felt about them. And that fed into the consciousness, which was the experience that, yes, we would like a donut and our stomachs growl. And we run on this feedback loop continually. We get almost addicted to our mental state. And it's a very difficult mental state to get out of. No small part of meditation is learning to watch how our minds create this experience of reality. Begin to see how we run on this mental feedback loop and slowly disengage from it, which is not something that we do immediately, but it's something we do in baby steps. I mean, you know, you're still going to get mad sometimes. You're still going to want a donut more often than not if you're me. But often when we start running on impulse, we do incredibly stupid things. I mean, you know, our first instincts is often the right thing to do, but it's just sometimes not a good idea to just go off without being mindful about it. We just lose sight of what's going on and we get carried away. And Nama Rupa, the Rupa, as physical components, we pretty much understand physical matter and stuff. These over here are kind of like non-physical somethings. Exactly what they're made out of is anybody's guess, but they are the parts that survive physical death when you're taking a traditional Buddhist approach. Now, modern Buddhists in America especially don't always go in for the idea of, you know, a non-physical something or another surviving physical death. But traditionally in Buddhism, the consciousness, the name part of the Nama Rupa, it survives physical death, and you know, this is the only world we got. This is the only moment we got. This is the only world we've known, so we eventually come back to it. The name, you know, hey, we got chocolate, we got beer, we have football games, we have sex. All these things are good reasons to come back if it's the only world you know. So the idea is that basically we survive physical death because of craving. We identify with this name as being self, and sooner or later we appear in a new form as a result. Beyond this is the Buddha heart, is Buddha nature. It doesn't come, it doesn't go. Anything you say about it's going to be incomplete. The closest thing you can really say is that it's complete compassion and wisdom. That's pretty much it. But, you know, we don't really talk much about the Buddha nature because there's not a lot you can do. And you can't change it. You can't produce it. It is by default neither coming nor going, neither polluted nor pure. It's beyond all dualistic thinking. So what we have to work on is the other side of the equation, this side of the equation. Back to the idea of watching the mind and watching how the mind shapes our experience. Consciousness, there's actually kind of a progression of layers. One of the better classes I took at the Prajna Institute was on modern neuroscience. And yeah, we don't know a whole lot about the consciousness. We don't know a whole lot about the brain. I read Susan Blackmore's book, and it's like 400 pages of her sitting there refuting everything she just said over and over again. It's like, this researcher says this, and then this researcher says, no, this isn't the case. And 400 pages later, you're like, all right, it's magic. I'm just going to set it aside here. In Buddhism, they said there was 6 sense consciousnesses, each one associated with a different sense. Eye, hear, nose, body, mind. Mind is considered one of them because the mind produces images. And it's just like the eye or the ear or anything else. You hear something, you immediately create a mental picture of it. Well, the mind can do that without having to hear it, so it gets lumped in as an extra sense. Beyond the 6 sense consciousnesses, there is our normal ego, our normal everyday self. Beyond the ego, there is the alaya consciousness, where we store our memories. And this is the one that really shapes our lives from life to life. And then beyond that one is the Buddha nature. It's whatever is past the alaya consciousness you start getting into around Buddha. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're retracing our steps. We're getting closer and closer back to this part before the beginning. But the alaya consciousness has a lot of stuff in it. Everything's stored from life after life after life after life. And it shapes our experience of reality, because everything we've done is stored in it, and everything we are comes from it. But part of the beauty for me of believing in reincarnation and believing in life after life is the fact that there are people in this world that you are not going to reach in this life. There are people in this world that you can't help in this life. Chris just a while ago said it was like a seed waiting on the rain. You know, you just you do what you can for people, and then you trust that, yeah, sooner or later they'll get it. It may not be in this life, it may be in future lives. And also, in thinking in terms of future life, it helps to dethrone the ego. You know, if you think in terms of only this life, this moment, the conventional wisdom is that if it feels good, do it. Don't put it off, because, I mean, hey, why would you? But when you think about your consciousness in terms of a very long period of time, and you think of yourself as trying to help others, and you start thinking of this not just here, but, you know, when you read the sutras, you have bodhisattvas who are, you know, they've been doing this for eons. Ben could tell you a lot better than I can. But, you know, you're basically becoming as the bodhisattva, as the person trying to do the great work. You're starting out on this great career. It takes the emphasis off of the present moment as just a sense of indulgence, and becomes more of the present moment as a chance to serve others and to help others. And that really helps to dethrone the ego. Sorry for some of the side rambles there, but what do y'all all think? Because I definitely don't want this just to be me sitting up here rambling.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is we know that it is Nama and Rupa, and beyond this is, as you said, is the Buddha heart.
Mm-hmm.
What is the relation between this and the Buddha heart?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a great answer. It gets into one of those fuzzy areas in Buddhism, like where those things begin at, because we talked about beginningless time, and the idea is that we don't know the exact beginning. The beginning is something, no matter how far back you push it, you can always go back further. If you go back to, you know, if you say, where did the universe come from? For some people, they say God created it. And then you ask, where did God come from? And they're like, you're not supposed to ask that. Well, something had to create God, and whatever created God had to have a creator, and you get an infinite regression.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
No.
And that's